So here's the finished wheel, or I should say the suede cover. I spent about 15 hours, probably at least, stitching this cover on and fitting it and refitting it and pulling some stitching out and restitching. But I'm really happy with the end result. The only thing I've reassembled so far are these the boards for the paddles. There's a Torx bit that comes in from the front, and these basically just pry out, and you'll see the entirety of this cover, this whole front assembly pries out. And you can see basically this is the only thing holding them all in all the way around. And the plug from the airbag. So this will be in the clock spring. This stays in the car, the receiving end. And the only thing you'll need is to reach in behind and get this clip. It'll be on the left side. So the cover itself, it was pretty difficult. I've never really sewn. It was, fairly straightforward. The fitment, getting the fitment right, that's probably the most difficult part, making sure it's even. I started at the bottom center. It comes with some fabric tape. It's essentially a really thin double-sided adhesive tape. And I cut small sections, and I have some still shots. I couldn't really get any video of me actually. I had both my hands full. I didn't really have a good setup, but I have plenty of still shots of the process, and I placed small sections of the adhesive tape near the stitch line of the original stitching. I didn't put it over the original stitching, just I failed or the cover failed and I needed to get the adhesive off. It would be a lot easier than trying to get it out of the threads. Besides the stitching, the hardest part was finishing off these tucks at the 3 and 9 o'clock points, and then at the base. Actually, the bottom wasn't so bad, getting the tuck just right, but the back behind these paddle covers was the most trying, without a doubt. I ended up, these are back in because I ended up having to stretch this area, and I used some CA, aka super glue, some thin CA to tack the edge of the suede down. I had to pull and stretch this area to get it far enough, and once I got it tacked down with some CA, I reassembled these pieces, both sides, quickly, and I had the ends untucked, and the front, of course, is it's just floating right now. The center ring is gonna provide, hopefully, enough force to keep that any movement there. But yeah, the wheel, I mean, it feels really solid when I grab and twist with some force. It feels really nice. There's no movement. I was concerned that it would feel loose and slip or rotate on the original cover, but the tape that came with it seemed to do exactly what it needed to do. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I think it turned out fantastic. There's the top edge tuck on both sides, the back fitment, bottom tuck. And what I did with the threads, again, I'm not really well versed in techniques for sewing, stitching, whatever. So wherever I finished off my threading, my sewing, I used some thin CA on a small safety pin and let it soak right into the edge of the stitch in case my knot failed or in case the stitching failed. That way it doesn't come undone per se. So yeah, turned out great. But to do this right, you really need to fully disassemble the wheel. You need to pull this faceplate off. You need to remove everything from it. So when you reinstall these paddles, there's a small little soft rubber grommet that fits on the little PCBs here. It's pretty self-explanatory. They just drop in. There's a spot for the LED to pass light through to light up your off, plus, minus symbols. And another important note, if you do take these out, you need to set these in. They're keyed, and these need to be inserted back in prior to driving the pin through. And the pin it's just a push pin. It comes out from the bottom of the wheel. They pull out, needle nose pliers. Yeah, this is the right paddle. So drop in, get it keyed. That's it. Hopefully you're getting this. My GoPro bit the dust, so this is all on an iPhone. Not the best filming conditions. Drive the pin back in. And that's it. Yep, feels good. Alright. Other side. Oh, almost forgot. Set that in. Put this on the recess. Pin. That's it. Paddles are back on. And of course, these guys need to be plugged back in. Self-explanatory where they go. There's not a lot of slack, so maybe just a little bit challenging. Just one in. This plugged in, and the holes are quite obvious. So the ends are a little bit more difficult because they contact the suede, and originally when I took it apart, they tend to go up underneath the edge of the original covering. So I'm just gonna slowly apply pressure. This is my first time reassembling, so learn as I go. Oops, that didn't work. And getting this off was pretty challenging. There was many times where I thought for sure I was going to break it. It has a very good bite. It doesn't seem like it would, but the design really works quite well. Okay, there I got it started. I got it started around the top. There. And this is just a push fit. Alright, drive it home. Take your time. Again, I spent literally 12 to 15 hours stitching this cover on. Probably more than that, to be quite honest. But I went really, really slow. I took my time. I redid a couple sections that I wasn't happy with. And this is just about fully. Oh yeah, that looks really good. So if you can't devote that much time to it, I did it over a holiday weekend on the 4th. Well, actually not the entire weekend, but that way I had some downtime for my car. It's my daily, so kind of need your steering wheel. And I'm pushing pretty firmly. I'm hoping that the additional material is not gonna keep this lifted at all. Yeah. That looks really nice. It's turning out really good. Nice fit. Hopefully the lighting's okay. I'm in my garage. So this is my first look with it reassembled, and I gotta say I'm so far super pleased. Sorry, I keep shaking the camera. That's it. Not perfect, of course. There's a couple of flaws. Actually, really no different than the stock wheel, really. If you really examine your stock wheel, it appears to be hand sewn on there. And of course, as with anything done by a human, there's some differences from side to side, top to bottom. I think overall, I'm quite pleased. I love the feel, definitely. It gives it a little bit more of that, I don't know, exotic wheel feel, more high end. That's it. Looks like it's ready to go back in the car. I'll get a little bit of footage of the reinstall if possible. Actually, you know what? Let's just stop. So here's the clock spring, or at least that's what I call it. I'm not sure what Volkswagen calls it. And this will rotate. I'm not sure how many times in either direction, infinitely or not. But and also the wheel was keyed. There's a notch in the top of the column, and there's also a notch which I marked with a Sharpie in the top of the wheel. The teeth are quite small, but it's very noticeable if you're off a tooth. So that's lined up. And if you're off a tooth, it's quite noticeable. So no concern there. The original bolt is I think it's a 12mm spline or triple box. I'm not sure if it's a one-time use or a torque to yield bolt. It was very easy to break loose. I need to look up the torque specs, but yeah, that's it. I'd like to get a boot for the DSG to match. I actually have two of these covers, so I'm not sure if there's enough material where I could have somebody stitch one up or not. Alright, well, I'm gonna drive this bolt home, and all I have is the plug for the airbag and the one just to the side there that I showed you earlier. Snap the airbag assembly in, and that's it. But if you're on the fence, I actually ordered this from AliExpress. I believe it's a Xuji or Xuji. I originally bought the first one from Amazon, but they didn't have any in the gray thread that I wanted. So I found a seller on AliExpress. I paid some additional FedEx shipping charges, and I believe I got it in less than a week. So I did apply some additional thread lock. It's blue, so it matches the original. Make sure I'm lined up. I am. I have one hand in it. I got the phone in my hand, and I believe, yeah, 12mm. Freehand. Bolt is secure. Can't see. I'm gonna need to get a light to see which direction that plug receptacle is facing. Be right back. All right. All right. And by the way, my battery is unhooked, obviously. So if you're messing with the airbag, sorry if my arm is blocking the camera. If you're messing with the airbag, I would definitely suggest, so that white section of the airbag clip, that will actually slide out. So you'll slide that small white section out towards you slightly and it'll unlock. And then of course the reverse, connect the yellow plug, push the locking pin back in, and just kind of gently bring this home. And we're in. Nice. Hook up the battery and install complete.